Well, it's a marvelous Monday morning, Sonder family. Welcome to your weekly setup. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy. I will be your on-screen facilitator today as we set up this final full week of January. You do have Team Jennifer on the morning call today. So joining me is my cohort, Jennifer Krippner. She is coming to you from Minnesota, where it's nice and chilly. I am in Texas. I'm usually from the Dallas, Texas area. Today I'm with my mom. We've got some doctor's appointments. So I'm in the College Station area this morning, and I'm sitting in a house that's 83 degrees because mama gets cold and I don't. It's very, very warm here. I'm going to try not to perspire on camera. It's so good to see you guys. Love starting our weeks together this good Monday morning. So I did put the little slide on from the Silk and Sonder Instagram. Find your word of the day. Maybe a word popped out to you that will inspire you to have a happy, marvelous Monday. And then I came across a word on the social media platforms this past week that's word of the day, Herkel Durkel. And it's a 200-year-old Scottish term meaning to lounge in bed long after it's time to get up. Happiness is Herkel Durkeling. And so I thought I loved that, wanted to share with you guys a great reminder that rest is an activity, and sometimes we need a little bit of Herkel Durkeling in our lives. So give yourself permission to do that. I've got a Scottish last name married into that, so I'm claiming it. I'm going to be a Herkel Durkler. It's really good to see you. So be sure that your chat is set to everyone so that we can share with one another. If it says host and panelists, Jen and I will be the only ones who can see your comments, which is fine, but we do a lot of sharing. This is our accountability group. You've made this appointment for yourself so that your week will be a very fulfilled one. And we like to share with one another. When we are gathered together, our community guidelines, you see those on the screen. Basically, we are creating a safe space to hang out with one another. And so no bullying, we don't do promotions and spams. We keep the chat very centered on our wellness. And a reminder that anytime you're together, that this is your time. And if you're digging into something and it's not comfortable, stop, give yourself time, find a moment when you're in a better headspace to do the thing, and just give yourself that permission to have that space while you're thinking about it. I've loved the theme of ambition this month. A lot of stuff's been bouncing around in my head. Many of you know I'm an early retiree, and so I've enjoyed looking at ambition through a different set of eyes this month. And so we're going to finish up our mind map this morning. Is there anybody here for the very first time setting up? Please drop a me in the chat so that we can welcome you. Oh, wonderful. We've got a couple of folks just sitting here. You may be make sure that your chat is set to everyone. I'm seeing some hosts and panelists because we all want to welcome you. We are every month you will discover at these weekly setups that we do a deeper dive into the monthly theme, and we call it a mind map. So every week you're going to get a bonus journal prompt to work on. And so when I'm speaking of the mind map, that's what I'm talking about, that we are doing this deeper dig into our monthly theme. This morning's agenda, we will kick off with that mind map. Then we're going to do a setup. Now, if you're here for the very first time, have your screenshot keys on your computer ready, or grab your cell phone, because I've got a lot of wonderful examples from our fellow Silk and Sonder family to show you how you can repurpose areas in your journal. You are always invited to use these pages just as they are, but as you become more comfortable getting to know this tool, you may find that there's some sections that work better for you if you repurpose them to kind of reflect the things that are going on in your life. And so I've got lots of examples to share with you this morning. When I first started my journey with Silk and Sonder, it took me about, I don't know, 4 months-ish to sort of work out exactly what I wanted in my planner to benefit me. Um, and I'm sorry, we're gonna do the rosebud thorn reflection, which we do weekly, and then we'll set up those pages with all those examples. So, as I said, this is week number 4. Now, your mind map is bonus material, so you're not gonna find a place in your journal that says mind map, but some folks like to put this on a notes page. Maybe you use that weekly scratch pad. Perhaps you will use the definition page. I did mine on the definition page. I'll show you what that looks like. And we've got these 4 questions. So you might want to grab a screenshot if you haven't been doing the mind map, and you could work on this, over the next week or so. But this is week 4. And so drum roll, we always wait for those questions. Week 4, we're finishing up the idea of ambition by looking at what we think about ambition. And the question this week is, do you believe that too much ambition can be a bad thing? Or only a lot of ambition without care for other aspects of your life, and why? Now I'm going to go back to this slide so you can grab that, but I did pull together, I've got a whole slide of quotes to think about. But this is the one that kind of really spoke to me. I can hold both contentment and ambition in my heart. I have gratitude for everything that has brought me to this moment, and I have the courage to pursue new hopes and dreams. And then my week 4 response is right there. I'll read it really quickly. Asking myself, do I believe too much ambition is a bad thing? So I kind of went with, it's all about balance and knowing one's personal core values. What kind of ambition? And I started thinking, there's different types throughout our life because we are in different ages and stages. So what we think about ambition may look very different depending on where we are in our ages and stages. And also maybe, what are we pursuing at any given moment? So the kinds of growth, financial ambition, achievement at work, rising through the ranks. Maybe if you're a student, it's that ambition of good grades and ranking in your class. Um, but I said, if ambition exists only to benefit self at any cost, I think it's bad. But we should all have a bit of drive, ambition, goals, dreams. Healthy ambition equals goal and attainment. Clear goals coupled with core values is where it's at. And so that's kind of how I frame this out. There's some really great quotes to maybe inspire your thought processes as you're sort of considering this idea of too much ambition. I worked on Saturday evening setup. Katie was our on-screen facilitator, and I was in the chat, and man, we got very philosophical. So this is one of those really good deep digs into your soul as you define what that ambition means to you. What is that belief that you have about ambition, and is there too much? So let me put on some music. Would love for you to share in the chat with kind of what's bouncing around in your head. And I'll be back to check in with you in just a moment. There's sometimes there's just not enough time to work on these prompts, like, "Oh, this could be a whole social in itself." You guys shared some really, really interesting, strong, very, challenging thoughts about ambition, and, there are themes that just stick with you that you really, do a lot of work through. Jacqueline, shared that, you know, a former boss said something to her that she had too much ambition. And so this month she's found herself working on that and really digging into, unpacking what that statement left in her soul. So she's done some work this month. Diane talked about, she's battling ongoing illness, and it has really her idea of ambition has completely changed because of what life has brought her and what she's choosing to focus on. So really leaning into her core values of family and of time and of focusing on her health. um Kate shared, that, like, sometimes she has these ambitions that are counterintuitive, or they're fighting each other for her attention. Like her ambition at work versus something like training for a marathon, and that one might get in the way of another. So, wow, what a moment to be able to lean into that and recognize that. I saw a lot about um, you know, ambitions making room for one another, for balance, for having that idea of core values. So, ambition may be one of these themes that is just kind of always there now that we've done some deep work into it. One of those for me was indulgence, which was a couple of Christmases or Decembers ago. And I grew up, with a lot of scarcity in my life. And so never felt worthy of any kind of indulgence. And to this day, that theme will pop up as I'm working on decision making and that kind of thing. So I hope that maybe you found some of that in ambition, especially if you have done kind of some unpacking, if you will, because of past statements or where you are in your life. So thank you, Sonder family, for sharing. Again, I think we just get to know ourselves better through these themes. So now, if you will join me on page 44, that is our rosebud thorn space for this week. Where we do that weekly check in, look back on how the past week went, and of course, your rose is something you're grateful for or that's gone well, something that brought you smiles that you're cheering yourself for. It was like something just really good that happened for me. That was I got a birthday little quilt top thing for a friend's birthday for her table made. It's all Valentine-y. It put me in the mood of saying goodbye to the holidays and kind of embracing Valentine's Day that's coming, that bud is what is something you're looking forward to. It could be as simple as a new week. It's the thing that might be giving you hope and motivation, maybe a new beginning, a new start, something that's down the pipe for you. My bud was I started my tomato seeds. It was, cold, cold, cold this past week, and I've got my little windowsills full of little well, they're banana split containers that I have little seed pots in, little terrariums. So that's my bud that's telling me spring is coming. And then we have those thorns that we embrace, and that's always what was challenging last week or what didn't go well, or something's making you feel stressed. Is there somewhere you need more support? And so those thorns are important to look at because maybe we can figure out a way to leave them behind. Now there's some ongoing thorns like illnesses, and there's power in being able to write about it and putting that down on paper. For me, my thorn this week, when it gets really cold, now that I'm a little bit older, I am really starting to notice, arthritis, my joints, my hands hurt so badly, and it makes me kind of grumpy. So I'm trying to embrace my thorn, embrace Tylenol, and work through that. So that's what that was for me. I'd like you to take a moment and reflect on your past week, and I'll be back to check in. Feel free to share in the chat. Let us celebrate your roses with you and get excited about those buds that are coming, and also hold space for you with those thorns. Thank you so much for sharing. Some of you had fabulous week last week, and I want you to take just a second and reflect on that bud that you wrote down, the thing that is to come, and frame that out with thinking about it in the most positive light you can. Like, what is the best thing that could come from this? And hopefully that will help ease some of the strife that you're seeing with those thorns. Thank you for doing this. It's a great way to figure out what we want to bring forward into a new week and what we want to say goodbye to. So now I would invite you to turn to page 46. We're going to be working on pages 46 and 47 this morning for our weekly setup. Now, If you've been here before, I share this screen right at the beginning because there are so many ways you can repurpose these spaces. And if you are brand new, you might want to grab a screenshot here because you may be going, oh, well, yeah, I'm a garden person. Maybe I'll use one of these spaces as my garden tracker. Or perhaps, you give yourself a lot of joy by being on top of all the movies. And so perhaps one of these spaces will be where you record the movies that you watch. So again, you might want to just grab a quick screenshot of that so that you can kind of go over it and see if there's something that you could use in your journal. And if you've been here before, maybe there's something you want to repurpose just to change things up a little bit. I always change my mind body health plan. It's a space that I try different things in all the time. So maybe you'll decide to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is start off by thinking about this week ahead and how we want to feel at the end of the week. And this will help us kind of set our goals and move forward. And maybe if you were here at the front end of the social where I had that slide that said, find your word of the day, maybe that'll be the word that you use. I've got lots of words here. There's not a right or wrong way to choose your word and then to set it up. You can see there's lots of one word. Maybe you do a more, I want to feel more of something and less of something. Maybe you use a quote or several words. Here are some great examples from our Sonder family. And if you already have your word, drop that in the chat because your word may make somebody else go, "Oh, I want to do that." Maybe it's a fun word like I want to feel herkle-derkling this week. Um, that's that cozy word. I want to point out, you see that little guy in a boat with a bear. This was someone who was starting a new occupation and new profession and said, "This week I want to feel able to inspire my students." And then found this graphic in a magazine. And the suggestion was go look in your magazines or newspapers and just throw a visual image there for how you want to feel. So I'm seeing things like I want to be empowered this week, grabbing onto the word grace, connected. I want to feel worthy of self love. I want to be optimistic. I want to feel optimistic. Love these words that are coming through. This is amazing. So yes, feel free to share if you're thinking again. I love the idea of what do I want to feel more of and less of. That leaning into that self-talk that we do. So, oh, Amy's going to be artistically inspired. Amy, if you do something fabulous and you feel comfortable, go throw it in on Sonder Club and say, "This is here because this was my word of the week." Present, prepared, and calm. I love that. A P word that means calm. Julia, does anybody out there have a P word so she can do that alliteration? More, how about peace? Peace, that's a good one. Yes, and I love that. There you go. There's your 3 P words, Julia. So choosing that word of the week really does help us focus in on the week. We're going to let this word guide the rest of our work this morning. So we're going to look down below that section where there's 3 major goals. Now, let me stop you really quickly. You don't have to use this space for a goal space, and I've got a couple of really great examples to show you. But if you do frame your space out with some weekly goals here, you might want to go look at that intentions page. Maybe your goals are no goals, no social media, no mindless scrolling, no biting my fingernails, that kind of thing. Lots of folks will do a personal challenge, maybe a health challenge. You could grab onto that ambition and use that as the guide for your goals this week. If you made a vision board, go take a peek at that vision board. Does it inspire a goal or two for this week? And then lots of us like to do a category, right? The three different categories that we will plug into. And the nice thing about choosing a category, like if you focus on mind, body, and soul every week, then you just can plug those particulars in from week to week to week if you kind of land in on doing that category setup. And then you can also use your word of the year if you did that for your guidance. Now, let's take a look at some examples. And when we work on this page together, I'll go back and forth between these slides. So don't worry if you're like, oh, these slides are flying by. But you can see how folks are setting this space up to work in their lives. They're all different. And that's the beauty of our Silk and Sonder journal. Um, Love the idea of a left brain, right brain, no brain. That's fun. Lots of people have picked up on that one, or maybe a delete, delight, and then a frog. Like a frog is like, what do you not want to do that you're going to do this week? The one in the middle has 4 goals. So you can do that if that's what works in your life. And then here are a couple examples of how we've taken our goals and we've attached them to the weekly to-dos or to-bes or weekly no's, as you can see. So look at the one on the bottom, mind, body, soul. And then instead of a weekly to-do list, this is tied directly in with weekly no's. So for the mind, no multitasking, no overthinking, no refusing help. Just seeing that, writing that down, lots of power in that. So that's a really great way to set this space up. The one above it is very similar in the fact that now there's those 3 goals, but instead of a weekly to-do list, it's a weekly to-be list. And this person, for their mind goal, is to be present, be a listener, be curious, be positive. So again, picking what works for you. Now, here's some great ways to repurpose. There's a list, and here's a couple of examples. Someone is actually going to just use that feelings box as a screen time tracker, which might be a goal or intention, and then putting the weekly expenses front and center to that week that you're looking at. And then I just discovered this little gal over here on the right. Look at that morning self-care goals. It's just that checklist of a morning routine. And I love this because routines are really tricky for me. I was in a very routine driven job as a school administrator, and when I retired, I'm a mess with routines. So I love the idea of creating this very detailed list of those routines of the morning, and that's what they are using in for that space. They're repurposing this space to meet those goals. Now we're going to slide over and look at those to-dos, and then we'll stop and we'll work on these 2 sections together. One of the big things in Silk and Sonder is always thinking about a not to-do list. What can you eliminate from your life to to make your life serve you better? And so there's some great examples there to make a not to-do list. Not sleeping enough, multitasking so that you don't get anything done because you're doing too many things, that kind of stuff. The need, want, hope to do, again, breaking it down in steps always is very beneficial. That's what that looks like. We love the Eisenhower matrix. I always say this, if you've got a tremendously long to-do list, and this is really great, especially like, you may have an Eisenhower matrix for work and an Eisenhower matrix for home. This will help you if you set your stuff up in this way. Plug in those urgent and important things and all the way down to the not important and not urgent things. And that will help you prioritize and set your all the things that you need to do in up to better serve you. I love it because Stephen Covey says most of us spend too much time on what's urgent and not what's important. And so this tool will help you kind of figure out the main things. And then here's just a way a lot of Sonder family has, you can see there's a morning and an evening, a work and a home list. I love the one over there on the upper right. Every week and then this week, right? So those repetitive things that need to happen, and then what is particular to this week. And then there's that idea of a to be list. What are you working on? What are you trying to get right in your life? How do you want to be? Lots of people now I'm team ta-da. I leave this space blank. I call it my ta-da list, and that is when I do something that wasn't on my to-do list, which is on my Monday through Sunday spread that I put my to-dos for every day. That way, I go all the extras get written in my to-do list because I'm gonna celebrate that I did things. I wanna, be proud of myself for that, so I write them down. Maybe you make that to don't list that we were talking about. Or you could ask yourself some questions like you see up there in the upper right. And alrighty, so we're through with those two sections. Let me put on a chunk of music and I'll come back and check in with you in just a moment. And I'm going to go through all of these slides again. So if you saw something that spoke to you, grab a screenshot or figure out how you'd like to use that in your space. All right, so lots of you are figuring out ways that you're embracing that word that you've chosen for this week, and you're putting that into action by making these amazing plans. So thank you for sharing that. I love it. We're laughing about having team alliteration. It's just more fun when all the words start with the same letter. I love that. So now let's take a look at our habit and activity tracker that is there on the bottom of the page. And remember, we've got the big habit tracker at the front of our journal, that wheel that has the things we kind of want to do every day ish. We're shooting for that. Those are the things that you are embracing, and that you want to do most days of the month. That big habit tracker, but this one in the weekly habit tracker can be changed up depending on what your week is bringing. So just a couple of reminders, you don't have to fill out all the lines in this space, and you don't have to attain all 7 days of little checks. You can even not set a goal here and just do a straight tracking of something in this tracker. So I've been sharing some ideas from James Clear, who is the author of Atomic Habits. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. If habits are something that you struggle with, it's very. I love James Clear. He's very helpful for me, and I've shared a couple of things from him this week. But this week I wanted to focus on choosing new habits, because this quote from him is very powerful. When choosing a new habit, many people seem to ask themselves, what can I do on my best days? And the trick is to ask, what can I stick to even on my worst days? And he says, so start small and master the art of just showing up for yourself. What does that look like when you show up for yourself? And he gave some examples, like if you are thinking, I want to walk 5 miles every day, start with a half a mile. Want to do 50 push-ups, start with 5 or 10. Want to meditate, start with 1 minute a day the first week or so, and then just build on that. So start with a small thing that will grow into a big thing. That sets yourself up for attaining those habits and getting them wired into your brain. So this again, this habit tracker is awesome because it can be set up to meet the needs that you have for this particular week. And there's several ways to do this. You don't have to track the goals. Notice the one on the bottom, they're not track, they're only going to use their monthly habit tracker for habits. And they have put paper across the bottom here, and this is a reflection space. So give yourself permission to use these spaces to meet your needs. There is the example of doing a time framed allotment up in the upper left hand corner. So they're going to do 10 minutes of meditation, 20 minutes of journaling, 30 minutes of job searching. So tying it in with a time allotment. I think that's a very powerful move. The one next to that, that's gamification. There's a lot of research coming out now about gamification. That is when you make something a little more fun, you get all these good dopamine dumps, and that is so good for your brain. So maybe doing something 5 times a week, 4 times a week, 3 times a week. When you have that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it just makes it a little more fun to do. Um, you can see the one at the upper top. That's how somebody has kind of that's a completed tracker for the week, which I think is fun. And they set a goal for 7 times to do girl wash your face, and then their total was 3 times. So this is a somebody pointed this out Saturday night. This is a data gathering space, right? It's not a space for, oh, I didn't do the thing. It is giving you pieces of information to maybe help you know what needs to happen. Perhaps this person will say, I need to figure out a different routine in my morning for that washing my face. So don't ever let these trackers make you feel bad. Your empty spaces are part of the story, part of that journey. And then I love the one that's on the bottom because there's that very bottom line. They've made space to highlight the days that there are Sonder socials, but also attending webinars. So I love prioritizing that. And then I have a bunch of habits and activity inspiration for this space. Let me put on some music. Let us know. What are you tracking? And I'll give you a hint. One of my weekly tracking points is to go check my monthly habit tracker. So that way I'm turning to the page and I'm making sure that I'm checking in with those habits that I want to do on a daily basis. So anyhow, let us know what you're doing this week. Right, my friends. So we've got our habits for the week in place. So good job. Let's hop over next door to, as Katie says, side B of the record album. We're going to be taking a look at this whole page, and then I'm going to give you time to work on it because some of you like to swap some spaces around and maybe not use that meal plan for meal plan, and you put your meal plan somewhere else. And so we're going to work on this whole page, and then I'll give you a ton of space to work on that. So we're going to take a look at the meal plan favorite section in this on this page for me because it can be changed up to it's got those great spaces. Something that popped out, I think it was at last week's social, someone shared that they make this the meal plan for my soul. I love that reflection, doing a little journal prompt in each one of those days that you can see where do I find joy? What makes me smile? What are my favorite smells and how do they calm me? So kind of taking the space, asking a little mini question and then reflecting on that, giving your soul what it needs. Um, the one next to that, the National Day of, you can always do a Google search and find out what's kind of fun about a particular day. And maybe you embrace those national days of. Again, a ton of great ideas from all of you on using this space for your health, for scripture, for a packing list, or maybe you track your wardrobe so you don't repeat. When I was in the classroom, my kids would say, "You just wore that, right?" So, a wardrobe tracker To-do list, look at this one that is paired with the Mind Body Health Plan, tracking energy levels, and then the kind of the numbers are there for like 5 for high energy, 4 for normal, but maybe a little bit more energy. So putting that energy level kind of compass rose there in the Mind Body Health Plan, and then going back and recording in that space the energy levels that they were feeling. I always love to point out those water droplets. You can color code them. So if you know you're drinking too much coffee, or wine or whatever. Anytime you're drinking something, you color code that. That's also a great space if you are tracking something that you want to rate. You could rate it on a scale of 1 to 8, and just color in those water droplets as kind of that scale. And then the Mind Body Health Plan, like I mentioned earlier, this is the space that gets repurposed a lot in my journal. I try different things here. One of my favorite reflections is the I feel and I need. And that is a great way to either start your day so that you know what the day needs to, what needs to happen in the day to make you feel, if you're feeling sad, what do you need? But it's also a good evening reflection on how the day went. And then the one that's right below that, I'm talking about the two on the right over there. The one below that says, I feel and I need, and has already written this out, right? So that they can go and look at, if I'm feeling meh, like it says, then I need to be okay with it. Just that reminder in writing. So I really like, those codes. And then it made me think you could even track this I feel and need right back to your mood tracker. And so what are your 6 things that you're tracking in your mood tracker? And then you write some ideas to fulfill what you need if you're feeling that way. It's great to tie it all in together. Again, some more, just a lot of fun ways to get this section set up. Some reflection pieces. Again, maybe that's your meal plan for the soul, and you do 1 week of gratitude. Or a self-esteem journal in that space rather than the mind body space. Like I said, all of these spaces can be changed up to fit your needs. We love the alliteration, right? The motivation Monday, transformation Tuesday, etc. So that could be a possibility for you. And then the shopping list gets repurposed quite a bit. I know you can use it right as it is as a shopping list. Some people will put their do not buys here so that they'll go and maybe do inventory of their food in the kitchen, and then they don't double purchase something that they already have. They're very cognizant. So it might be a do not buy list. Someone used it once as a scrappy or a washi tape scrap little junkyard there, and they put all their fun little washi scraps. A step tracker. I do a bingo here every week, and it's tasks and treats. And so my tasks, it's really the chores that I probably don't want to do. But if I put it here and use it in a bingo, and I get to mark that off when I did it, again, we're talking about that gamification. It does happy things in my brain. And then my treats will be something, I mean, it'll be like make a cup of hot tea, or go sit with your book for 30 minutes. So they're very simple themes, or rewards. And then that I am loving box. What are you loving right now at this very moment? And so that's how we like to frame that one out. So I gave you a lot of information, a lot of pictures to look at. Let's work on this, and I'll be back to check in with you in just a moment. Let us know if you repurpose, or if you just throw a sticker over something and you don't use it at all, except for like a motivational sticker. Let us know. What are you doing on this page? And I'll check in with you in just a moment. this is always a very fast hour. I hope that you were able to grab some inspiration. We would love to see your pages posted in Sonder Club. While I'm talking, I'm going to show you some ways that people set up that weekly space, so that if you wanted to know how to divide that up, you can maybe grab a quick screenshot. We are so glad that you made this appointment with yourself. You carved out time for a marvelous Monday. So thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing in the chat. And also, thank you for sharing in Sonder Club. It's great inspiration for one another. So feel free to post as you are comfortable. We'd love to see your setup, or maybe a section that you repurpose to inspire others. These are all those important QR codes. And if you've noticed in the chat, Jennifer's already dropped the links to those as well. You will get a survey following this time together in a follow-up email. And be sure that you go ahead, and if you haven't marked the YouTube channel as a favorite, if you haven't bookmarked it, be sure you do that, because this social, as well as almost 700 other socials, can be found on that YouTube channel. And you can go back and watch other social journals, prompts, and that kind of stuff. So you'll want to make sure that you save that. There's my playlist for the day. It's going to be a marvelous Monday as we finish out the month of the last full week of January. Next week, we'll be talking about February. Bye, y'all. Make it a good Monday.
My friends fall out of love and go insane. Bet on life and lose the game. I saw them quit. I never wanna be like that. A suit and tie copycat. I never was into that.